Okay, so I'm exactly where I left off in the last video, and again, we just have our class with our private data so far. And in the form class, I did try to create a new book. I think I'm going to just wipe this out and just get back to where I was. So really, I'm truly just at the point where I have a plan. I have this, but no car in sight. Okay, I have just the plan for that. And so I have my my book class, which is the plan. And so now I'm at a crossroads because I have this nice class with these nice data members who want to have good data, a meaningful title, a meaningful author, and so on. But they're private. They're locked up inside of the class. So if I want to create a book in my form class and put meaningful data in there, I have to provide some kind of backdoor access to those private data members because I can't do it from here. So what I'm going to do is add what we call properties. And there's a shortcut way of doing it, and I'm going to show you how to do that. If you, well, let's say I want to add properties for all 4 private data members. I can select all of them. And then anywhere in that selection block, I will right-click and go to Quick Actions and Refactorings and click on that. And then I'm going to choose this one, Encapsulate Fields, and use Properties. So I'm going to choose that. Okay, and these are my properties. It's kind of some unusual code, but basically I will break this down into 2 parts. We have the get and the set. The set is going to set that private data member underscore title, for example, to some kind of meaningful value. Value is kind of like a parameter, like we were talking about parameters in our methods. It's a parameter that's not in parentheses. But whatever title I choose, what the book is going to be The Snowy Day, the children's book, The Snowy Day. So The Snowy Day would be set, the title is going to be set to The Snowy Day that comes in through there. And so that's the set, where you're setting the private data member to something meaningful, some kind of meaningful data. And then the get is when you want to get that data back out. Like the whole point of putting data into a variable is that you want to get that data back out and maybe display it on the form or something like we're doing this application. So the get is what gets it back out. So remember that the set is to set that private data to something meaningful, and then the get part is to get the data back out so you can display it, look at it, do whatever you want to do with it. Okay, so that's your shortcut way of generating those properties. So these are the properties, and you know what, I'll note here that the properties are public. Okay, the data itself is private, but in order to be able to access it through these back channels, so to speak, those channels have got to be public. Public means it's visible to the outside of this class, specifically our form class. So let's go back. Oh, and you know what, one more thing before we go to the form class and create an actual book object and try to use these properties. I want to mention, look at the names of our properties. Title, no underscore. Author, no underscore. This is nice. So this is why I chose the underscore for the private properties are not visible to the outside world, so to speak. So you can give them the ugly name with the underscore. You want to save the nice, pristine name for the property block. And it does, it'll take it automatically. It just takes that underscore off and then gives it a nice, pristine name. And you'll see when we go into the form, these are what we're going to see: title, author, price, covered. That's what's going to come up in the IntelliSense when we have an actual book object. So it's kind of like putting your best face forward to the outside world and exposing the, the nice property, the nice clean one without the underscore. So let's go over to the form class here. And in the form load, I'm going to create an actual book object based on my book class. Now, I just want to say, I know I keep saying this again and again, but at the moment, all we have is a plan. All we have is this at the moment. We're about to get our car rolling off the assembly line, or our book coming off of the printing press, to use a better analogy here. So at the moment we only have a plan, and what that means is a plan. I don't have any memory set aside. It's really when you're creating an object based on a class, that's the moment where that object is created in memory. And then you've got something to work with. Okay, so let's create our book object. We'll call it, how about B1? Okay, B1 equals new book. This is how we create an object. We use the new keyword, and we have used new in the past in some of our code, but when that new, I like to say it's like a magic spell, and whenever you use that keyword new, an object is being created in memory. In this case, a book object is being created in memory. So, again, like if I said, if one of your relatives, for example, said, I'm going to buy you a new car, you're getting this. You're not getting this. No one wants that. We want this, right? The new car. So new is like a brand new shiny object in the world or in programming in memory. So again, and another thing, just a couple of sentences, some terminology. In every programming book, object-oriented programming book, you'd see a sentence like this: an object is an instance of a class. Okay. An object is an instance of a class. So, again, the object starts with the class. We started with our book class, and now I've created a book, just one book. I can create many of them if I want, but just one book, which is an instance of that class that I typed out already. And in here, we would also say that, we have instantiated a book object. Okay, so now at the moment the book object is empty. I'd like to put some meaningful data into it. So I'm going to do B1 dot, look at the nice clean properties coming up in my IntelliSense. Doesn't that look so much nicer than seeing an underscore there? That's why we use the underscore for the hidden part that no one needs to see. Okay, so book title equals the snowy day. Okay. And then I will do the author. Okay, and finally I'll make up a price, B1.price. I'll say that this book costs $9.95. That's a decimal type, if you recall. And then the picture, the cover, that's a picture type. I'll say our usual technique, image.from file, is going to work. I do have a picture of this book cover in the debug folder, as usual. Okay, so that should work. Okay, so now I put the meaningful data in. What's left to do? Well, I'd like to get it back out. I have a form, I have a picture box, I have some labels, this LBL title, LBL author, LBL price. I'd like to display the book objects, B1 objects, data in those controls. So I'll just write the code to do that. Now I want to make a point here. This here we're using what we call the sets. Let me just bring that up again. The set part of the property, setting the title and the author and the price and the cover to good, meaningful data, setting that data. Now I'm at the point where I want to get that data back out and display it in the controls on the form. So now I'm going to be using the gets, okay? Okay, so using the sets to put data in. Okay, now I'm going to use the gets to get the data back out. Okay, so let's see. We have the picture box, which I did not name well. I just did picture box 1 dot image equals B1 dot cover, just getting it back out. LBL title.text equals b1.title. Same for the author. I've got a label for the author. We'll set the text to b1.author. And then lastly, we have the price. I might have to do a little bit of maneuvering here. This is a decimal, so the text is going to have to be b1.price, and I'll have to put a two-string on that. And since it's money, I'll go ahead and format it currency style while I'm at it. Okay, so this is all in the form load, mind you. So I'm going to run that, and hopefully we'll see the book in the form. Okay, and here it is, looking pretty good. So that is your first object based on a class. I am going to continue with this a little bit more in the next video, but this is basically the gist of it. The private data, the properties to be able to provide that kind of backdoor access to the private data. And then, of course, you know, the whole notion of starting with a class, which is just a plan, and then turning around like in the form and creating an object, an actual object in memory based on that class.